Rolling through the sand like a thought in disguise. The scarab spins truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl, the Beatles rise.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.
Sort of burst the chaos, yet the chaos rise. My name Beatles, 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 over and over, spinning the world in the grip of their shoulders. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober. The heat fades lower, the order begins. A stillness so perfect it hums from within. The void sings softly, entropy takes a bow. In the shadow of silence, the scarab knows how. The second law is dancing, feeding life through decay. The third law holds the promise that the stillness will stay. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.
All right, so we in the building, and Kev talking about all the new books is ordered already. Now, I don't know how that's possible. How is that even possible that all the new books is already ordered? You got volume 4 already? How you get volume 4? You ain't ordered volume 4 yet. Did you order this? How you ordered this book? Or you ain't ordered this book already? It is impossible. You did not already get this book right here. Yeah, we got Food is Medicine, Volume 1. We got Eat Real Food. Food is Medicine, Volume 4. Metabolic Disease Training, Volume 2. Metabolic Disease Training, Volume 3. Or maybe you conjured me up. See, you conjured me up. You conjured me up. You soon as you hit the checkout, that when you put the books in your cart, then you hit checkout. I just came on to the live stream. You just brought me on to the live stream. Man, I've been in the lab, class after class after class after class. And in the meantime, writing as much as possible in between. Writing as much as possible in between. Shout out to Hard One.
Shout out to Harwin, aka Harwin. Urban biochemist. I don't even know what that is. I know we had an urban biochemistry. We had an urban biochemistry whole program. Remember, we put the books out and all that. You telling me they done stole a drip on Spotify? That's crazy. That's crazy. We did that during oh, I forgot we got those podcasts over there. I'm tripping. I'm trying to look it up right now. Find, I'm trying to look it up and find it. Like, yo, who stole my joke? Like, that's crazy. I forgot we had the podcast on Spotify. Man, yeah, there's some content floating around. We got some content floating around. That's crazy. I forgot we had all of them. It's a bunch of them over there too. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff over there. I might need to delete some of them. When you walk your Akitas, you got a nerve to put an S on the end of that word. You got Akitas with an S. That's why you need to have books, because ain't nobody coming in your house to visit. Ain't nobody coming to your house to visit. It's a wrap. Ain't nobody coming over your house. He got actual wolves. He got wolves walking around in his house. It's nobody's coming over to your house. Kenty and Anubis. It is nobody coming to your house. Period. Everybody talking to you through the Pico. Everybody coming in that house. Period. But we've been in the lab, though. When I tell y'all we've been in the lab, it's crazy. It is crazy. So this new series, for everybody, obviously besides Kev, the new series is probably hitting people like all at once, because it's 5 books that's out so far. And is it 5 books? Maybe it's 4 books. I think it's 4 books that's out so far. There's 4 or 5 books that are out so far. And I think we have another, I don't know, we might have another, I don't know, we got some more that are already coming down the pipeline. So we might have another 6 books. It might be another 5 or 6 books dropping this week. Real important stuff. Real important stuff. So we get into where we kind of left off with the whole food as medicine. The whole food as medicine thing, and some important conversations surrounding that. Obviously, we dig deeper into spirituality and the crossroads of spirituality and health. And we start getting a lot deeper. When I say a lot deeper, I don't think it can get any deeper in terms of fleshing out the genetic code. And so we kind of really started going into this. Wow. If y'all thought I could not find my books before, it's a wrap. I definitely don't know what my books are now. Chloe has just rearranged all of my books, and there's that part. So, but we started the conversation in the Eat Right for Your Haplotype book, right? And I was kind of telling this story. I was interviewing yesterday on a gentleman by the name of Rob. I was on his page and we were having a conversation. And let me look this up. Let me look this up and see, when did this start? Okay. All right. So it wasn't until like 2000, like the Drake era. It was like right when, and it's funny that that's when my book actually drops, is the Drake era. Not my first book, but the book most people remember me for so far, Eat Right for Your Haplotype. The subject of genomics was already beginning to be studied, right? Like immediately, soon as they, in the 1960s, when they figure out the 64 code, the 64 codons for the DNA, they immediately start studies to try to figure out how our lifestyle impacts the expression of DNA, right? And so you can say that the 70s was the early start for genomics, but not much was really known about how DNA really, really works until the last 20 years, right? So genomics doesn't really pick up until like 2012 to what we know it to be today, right? So at the time that I'm beginning to write Eat Right for Your Haplotype, I'm not really thinking of genomics, right? Even though what we know of as genomics and nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics and all of these intertwined subjects, they would all be they will all kind of fall under that umbrella. They will all fall under that umbrella. Well, here's the thing. All of our books should be paired with each other. That's why we got 200 books. Yeah, listen, all of these books goes with each other, right? But some books more than others, right? Some books more than others. So on Amazon, it's not the original Eat Right for Your Haplotype. It is a like a kind of like an updated version. We took some things out, we added some things in. We took some things out, we added some things in. I noticed that somebody from Atlanta is literally lifting phrases out of the book to sell some blood detox cleansing, high blood pressure thing on YouTube now. But yeah, so it's a good thing. But just for clarity, at the time I wasn't thinking genomics at all. Like when I was putting that book together, it didn't cross my mind. Otherwise, I probably would have written more extensively on the topic. Like specifically, I would have spoke to the topic in the book, and used the vocabulary associated specifically with that, like that specialist, like that pocket of information more explicitly, right? Where we kind of touched on it because the book was about the subject, but not directly. Like that's not what I sat down to do. It was a response. The Eat Right for Your Haplotype was a forced response. It was so many people asking me over and over and over and over and over about Eat Right for Your blood type. And me constantly having to explain to people that was foolishness. And, this is what you should be focused on. If you want to eat, if you want to put a biochemical, biological foundation to your dietary regimen. And that's because Dr. Africa, Dr. Sebi, even going as far back as maybe Arnold Ehret, right? And it's kind of weird because Arnold Ehret is a white guy, right? But I would say even going far back as Arnold Ehret, they began to create unspoken social, and I'm leaving Elijah Muhammad out of the conversation because although his whole thing was about Black folks, it wasn't specifically about Black folks, so to speak. It's just that was his target demographic, but his information was more universal, right? But I think specifically, Dr. Africa spoke a lot about melanin. Dr. Sebi, while saying melanin doesn't exist, he was doing a lot of the, the African and the gorilla versus the polar bear. And so you can kind of get the white versus the Black inferences from there. So they were already laying down a very loose concept of, like a genetic or biological aspect to eating. I think when Robert D'Amato came out with Eat Right for Your Blood Type, he took it to a whole nother level, even though it was gobbledygook. Like that is not scientific. That's not scientific. He's one step from chakras. Like that's not scientific. But what I'm saying is he took it to the next level in terms of public interest. Like people were now looking for that. People were now looking for that validation. And he kind of blew open this whole pocket where, in the words of our illustrious Saint HJ, Hotep Jesus, I think Robert D'Amato started the grift, or he opened the door to the grift. And so after that, you start to get, a lot of smaller pockets of people picking up on the opposite vibe. Like, oh, okay, so black folks is claiming the equator and the fruits and the veggies. So, you know, all right, cool. I'm a white man. I'm a caveman. You know, we gonna lock down the meats. And so you had people like you know, guys like Frank Tufano, who would literally, you know, wear a caveman outfit. I don't know where he bought those outfits from, but he would wear the caveman outfit while eating, you know, brains and hearts. And let me see if I can pull up one of these videos. I don't want y'all to think I'm making this stuff up. I wonder if YouTube banned Frank Tufano yet. Let me see. Okay, right. All right, so you can see here what I'm talking about, right? So you had guys like this come along, and he went pretty big. Pause. He got really really viral and popular on the internet. I don't know what happened to him since. I think his movement kind of collapsed, but he got pretty big. Yeah, he got pretty big with this whole caveman thing. Yeah, he got crazy, and he was eating you know, like he would do eating the brains and all that.
Amplify.
Let me see if we can catch him. Okay, so here you see he got some on his table. He got some calves. These are baby cows. And right here, he's trying to crack open the skull of one. You see that? So he's cracking open the skull of a baby cow. He's getting ready to start pulling out the brains. Let me see if we can catch him eating some of this stuff. Yeah, so there he goes eating. This is him eating raw cow brains and all that, right? So people went in all different directions with the information, right? So the grift was heavy. The grift was heavy. Robert D'Amato, I think, set the tone for the grift, and other people stepped in. You get Liver King stepping in. You know, he's on steroids, but he's doing this whole we eating, you know, the ancestral diet. He was calling it ancestral instead of cave. And, you know, so everybody was tapping into this stream of information. But I think early on with the Eat Right for Your Haplotype book, let me say, not stream of information, stream of interested, I don't want to say gullible consumers. I don't want to say gullible consumers because that's not exactly correct, even though to some extent there's a gullible portion of the consumer base that was interested in sitting their diet on top of their biochemistry and biology. You know, this is the problem where people don't read or study, right? Because yes, we should be tailoring our diet to some extent to our genetics and our DNA and all of this kind of stuff, right? But how do you do that? Do you just say, well, I'm a white guy, so here's a white guy with muscles, so I should follow what he's doing? Or here's a young white guy, and I want to have young looking skin like this 20-year-old guy. So me as a 50-year-old white man, I'm going to eat like Frank Tufano because I want to have skin like Frank Tufano. Frank Tufano is not going to have skin at 50 like the 20-year-old version of Frank Tufano. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Then, Liver King got busted with the steroids. And, then we get the other Brian Johnson, who's got all of the technical, like the Iron Man kind of stuff going on. And then find out he's on steroids as well. So both of those guys really just serve to boost the TRT market, because now everybody is looking to get their hands on some steroids, even if they're not, like a part of the gym community where they could probably tap into, so now they can get TRT somewhere and get their own steroids and whatever the case may be. But nobody's really actually tapped into that science. Nobody's actually tapped into that science because it takes, investing some time and sitting down, and it takes investing some money and getting some study, right? So we really opened the door, especially for our community. We opened the door. We were the only ones, actually, probably still the only folks teaching this kind of this level of science. And that was our idea at the time, to just combat that narrative of eating right for your blood type. Like, that was our idea. Combat that narrative. Eat right for your haplotype is the way to go. I was having arguments and debates even 15, 20 years ago about single nucleotide polymorphisms, which most people thought I was also making that term up. Like, that's not a real thing. And a lot of what we were doing then was based on the much more polished, what you see people now offering classes for, $20,000, $10,000. There's that's where the average classes range. You can find some for 1,000, you can find some under 1,000. The credibility of the class, that's a thing, where you getting your material. But now people are charging, like I said, 10, 20, whereas before it didn't even exist. Now you have people charging 10, 20,000 to learn this information. So it's definitely a thing of the future. I'm not gonna say I dreamed it up, but we spoke plenty of times on videos like this about, oh yeah, in 10, 20 years, they're going to be doing this. In 10, 20 years, they're going to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? If prophecy still made you a prophet, I would be literally walking on water right now. Because it's like boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Everything we kind of put out there is aging really well. Like predictions just spot on. So definitely the Eat Right for Your Haplotype book definitely is a resource. But even the article in the Gold Book, right? And I was trying to explain to people when the Gold Book dropped, like, a lot of these books, the information that we have in these books, the conversations that are in these books, the conversations we're generating with these books, it's not even for the now. We're in the future. If you're getting these books and studying this material, you're 10, 20, 30 years ahead of what's coming in the future. We're in the future already. So, but yeah, I think we had the first articles in the Gold Book. So if you have the Gold Book, you can go into the Gold Book and see. We went through that, and we had a bunch of different conversations about which foods particularly correspond to, genetic this and that and the other, and just, open that door up. And then we went to fast forward the Declaration of Independence book, which is, of course, another. Where is my book? Under the table. I think my books may be under the table. Hold up, man. I gotta look for some books. Let me look over here and see if I can find these damn books. Yeah, because I gotta see what the damn books is.
We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for your ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferry and turn them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turn them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. Yeah. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodashim. We give thanks for the mechanic predicts when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodashim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light in our breath and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the finned olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the jet pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodashim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodashim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opens a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Waceptra. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. Amen.
So yeah, so I found the gold book, right? But I did not find the declaration book. Yeah, I did not find the declaration book. But I can give you a few examples. Because in this book, we get into a very specific subset of nutrigenomics, which is miromics, right? So you are dealing with microRNAs and mRNAs and all of those lovely little additions to really understanding your nutrition, right? And going much further than an African European kind of concept, right? And even, yeah. So I think we start kind of like around page 56. Yeah. Yeah, I would say around page 56. And I don't think that we really still got because it's kind of just us out there. I still don't think that we got deep enough into the conversation, right? Because when we get to page 183, again, this is the gold book. When we get to page 183, we start to talk about the impact of music and sound, acoustic waves, mechanical waves on your transcription, right? And the book I was looking for, but I cannot find, hint, hint, wink, wink. The Declaration of Independence book, we wrote a whole book dedicated to how exercise, right? So we had a few books talking about, starting back with Eat Right, Tea Apple Type and coming forward on different aspects of how what you eat affects the expression of your code, your living code, or the codes with an S, bringing us around to I want to say summer 2025. We start to open the door. We jump into melanin is anabolic. During the course of that, we get interrupted, right? Because we start dropping some other more specialized books. We drop Black's Anatomy. Throughout Black's Anatomy, we go further than I think anybody has ever went in terms of writing about the cross space between genetic codes and health and nutrition. But there's still a lot of specifics that we leave out of all of that information, right? Because we're in the inception. How did it come about? What's the this and the that? And how does everything work? Even when I had the debates that played a role in the conversation about Darwin and all of those things, right? And we were talking about how AI is designed the exact same way. right? You have the 5 in 1, right? The basic 6 codes that are required for AI to run are the same 6 codes, right? It's much more than one code. Back in 1960s, they discovered the one code and figured that was it, right? Fast forward, we know there are now at least 6 codes that are required for your body to run, right? And who knows, maybe that has something to do with the biblical statement of 666 or whatever the case may be. But now we know for sure there are 6 different codes operating at a minimum for the human, for the human genome to do all of what it needs to do. And then there are some things that aren't fully mapped out or fleshed out yet, right? So in the new book series, we are going there, right? In the new book series, we're going there, right? And inspired largely by the changes in the law, right? Inspired largely by what my man RFK is set into motion. Man, they're gonna squish up my hats. Yo, look at this girl. What is she doing with my hats? But yeah, so largely inspired by what's going on in the pop culture, right? Because this is our dream. Matter of fact, let me not say our. There's a bunch of us. I'm not alone. There's a bunch of us who have been waiting for this moment, maybe even thinking this moment would never come. Maybe even thinking this moment would never come. Yeah, I had to time him out. I didn't ban him. I just timed him out. Yeah, I just timed him out. He was hating on Dr. Pepper and the Beatles. But yeah, a lot of people thought this moment would never come. The little underground, holistic, naturopathic pockets of activists, food and nutrition activists. That's what we were, and in my generation, I'm almost 50. I'm a young buck. Sonetta had a conversation going on his page yesterday. And one of the things I thought was interesting is that, he had a gentleman by the name of Apostle hosting the show. And Apostle is in his 60s, right? So just based on that, Apostle would be like my elder. But there are people who call me elder, right? Because, we into this YN, big bruh, OG, elder, so you elder at 50 now. You already an elder in your 40s, you know what I'm saying? Depending on, the situation, right? But Apostle is in his 60s, and he's interviewing Professor James Smalls, who's in his 80s now, right? So it was just interesting to see that dynamic at play. Seeing, somebody that's your elder interviewing somebody, his elder, in terms of years and wisdom, right? Because in the health space, I've really been a part of this culture, which is why I have so much disdain for many of the people who parasite and vulture off of the culture just to capitalize on the money side or potential money side, even if their uncle, dad, or mom is somebody who paved the way or paid some dues in the culture. So I know from being growing up in the culture. Shout out to Miss Paulette, or maybe may she rest in greatness now. But even when I was a kid and I couldn't fully understand everything, she would hire me to help her out as a vendor. People knew her back in the days in New York and the surrounding states, like the tri-state area, as the Scarf Lady. And she would be at all of the Black conscious events, the women's empowerment events, all of that. And she would have me there, paying me to be there. You know what I'm saying? And really, she just was investing in my intelligence. She knew my situation. So she kind of knew she had to lure me in with money. You know what I'm saying? To kind of pay for my time. But she would pay me to teach me, basically. And she would have me pay me to be her helper. But I wouldn't really do anything but help her carry the boxes to her van, help her unload, set up at the event. And then for the most part, I'm with her at the event, listening to, all of the different speakers and all that. And this is, super, super little. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know that these events, these places, these speakers are later on going to become, primary influences for me to, follow in some of their footsteps, or to learn how not to follow in some of their footsteps in other instances. But yeah, so I grew up in the quote unquote underground culture. So I know that a lot of people, this was the thing that they were fighting for. The time when, schools or the government would adopt a naturopathic or a naturalist perspective on health, nutrition. The term wellness is growing on me, even though I never liked to use the term wellness. Shout out to Sharita, wherever she was at. She tried to get me to be a wellness coach back at the inception of the wellness coach, thing, whenever that was kicking off. And I was just totally allergic and immune to I just couldn't associate myself with the wellness thing, because there's so much foolishness that's associated with the wellness thing. The wellness thing is rife with chakra foolishness and so but it's growing on me as it's evolving, and it's becoming more scientific as well. And it's not that science is everything, but we should have organized exploration. Organized exploration, stratified goals, and some sort of guidance and contextual guardrails when we're approaching stuff that people's life, depends on. You know what I'm saying? So I know that a lot of people really it's just, it's just how life works, that, the packaging is not what people would have wanted. You know what I'm saying? But I know if we had a Black college professor like T. Owens Moore, or somebody ushering this movement in, getting elected or getting, appointed to health secretary, if we would have got somebody like T. Owens Moore appointed as health secretary, and he would be making all of these same steps that RFK is making, you would see widespread support for what it is that he has going on. Even if RFK wasn't attached to Trump, and RFK was maybe attached to Kamala or somebody else that the underinformed, gravitate to, you would see more support for RFK and what he's got going on. But I can chew the meat and spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is an amazing time period. Even though there are going to be, there already are some changes underway. There's some changes. Like now you prescribing exercise, and the World Health Organization has already said, and we can like it or not like it, but the World Health Organization sets the tone for the national organizations around the world. And in terms of America, less than 2% of Americans will be considered healthy. Less than 2% of Americans will be considered healthy. So when you take that into consideration, the largest problem that people are going to have with having health conversations is that you're going to be dodging a lot of landmines, where typically, if you're not a medical doctor, that you can't use certain terms like diagnose or cure and things like that. And you pretty much that playing field has changed in terms of scope of practice. With obesity being classified as a chronic illness, a lot of things are changing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are changing rapidly. So that's why we just been, taking y'all hard-earned money and doing the right thing with it. Doing the right thing with it. Even if that means y'all haven't really seen me live, you know what I'm saying? That's because I've been in student mode. I talk about that a lot. You cannot continue to be a teacher if you are not an avid student. You need to be a lifetime student in order to be a lifetime teacher. And that is the thing that we want to strive to be, is lifetime students. We can call ourselves teachers in spurts, right? In spurts, we're teaching, right? But you got to be a lifetime student, especially when it comes to something as dynamic as your health. With understanding the changes in the environment, the changes in the atmosphere, right? The changes, social, political changes. Yeah. I just had to go into monk mode. That's why, it's important that y'all have those books, the Monk Manual. You got to have the Monk Manual, right? Because some people was hitting me up like, yo, Ink, what you got going on, bro? Where you at? I'm like, did you read? So you did not, did you purchase the Monk Manual and not read it? Or you haven't purchased or read the Monk Manual? You must not. Yes, I'm gonna need you to grab that. Go grab the Monk Manual, read that, apply that immediately, right? I'm gonna need you to get on that, right? Then grab the Kemetic Meteorology book, read that immediately, and then you'll be able to read the room a little bit better. You'll be able to read the room a little bit better because it's on and popping right now. It is on and popping right now. A lot of things are changing, right? Every state in America has ongoing debates They have bills in the oven. They have bills in the oven about how naturopathic doctors and doctors of naturopathy are going to be governed and recognized, and all kinds of stuff. So they've already created a distinction that we kind of have to go by in terms of naturopathic doctor, ND, versus doctor of naturopathy, DN, right? So that's one thing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So all of those things, you know what I'm saying, have had me in the lab, And so the new book series, we going like, it's kind of like us, we all grabbing hands, we all holding hands. We all holding hands, going through the next like 30 to 50 years of science, laying out the framework for what health is becoming, what it is right now, and what it's becoming, right? And how you can take what we've been doing and dial it into the next level and apply it, right? Dial it into the next level and apply it, right? Because we don't have enough people applying the principles that they're studying in the books, right? Even though we have some people that are very studied, that have 50, 100, or 150 of the books, and they've read a large portion of the books, we don't really have enough people applying the information. We don't have enough people who have begun to form study groups at their job, study groups at their gym, study groups in their neighborhood, around the books and the information, which is what we need to work on. We have to get better at that. We have to become better sharers of the information, right? So that's my update. I will be going back more like the bulk of all the classes and courses are over. I just have like 2 or 3 more classes to finish up. Not classes, but courses. One of them is like, I think it's like 4 more months I got, and another one's like maybe 6 more months I got with them. But yeah, I'm pretty good on I'm pretty good on classes and courses. So we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I will be passing the hat much more frequently, because I'm in the poorhouse now after I done enrolled in all these courses. These recipes all look crazy.
Yeah, and I'm definitely grateful to collab with Ink. Like, he's been, sort of like a silent mentor, kind of like, guiding me through a lot of these different processes, and me reaching out to him. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So that's just a testament to a lot of information that I gathered from him and other people.
Lamar, don't take my word for it. Stalin, Society Baby, Dead Stop, Madman, Jeremiah. Thanks to the whole chat.
It's not just kitchen chemistry. You gotta add chemistry in the kitchen. And well cooking. Yeah.